Episode 18 of Summertime Rendering sucked. Everything about the episode sucked. I don't like anything about the episode. The episode sucked. Just kind of screwed up while at the same time sucking at the very end. I really do hate this. Now, this is the unfortunate thing. As we got into episode 18, well, technically the concept that they presented at the very end of it, or at least confirmed at the very end of it, this idea of Ushio always traveling with Shinpei each time he resets. I'm gonna be perfectly honest, I've never understood that mechanic. It's like, it's one of those things where I kind of assumed that they were just assuming that that was the case. Oh, well, because you didn't die first, you get to come with me. Well, what's the logic behind it? I just don't feel like they ever explained what the logic was behind it, but at least, like I said, they're technically confirming at this point because, at least for the first few seconds that he's at this next reset, Ushio's not there. Now, will she remain not there? Will they just find out that, oh, no, that wasn't the case, we just always feared that, and we just basically psyched you out? But what, again, the question is, if that's the case, then what does this matter? Like, what happens? Is Ushio's shadow not gonna be there? Is she gone? I think they mentioned at some point, it's just that she remembers everything, so the fact that she died first, she's not gonna remember anything, so that's her powers being unlocked, all that kind of stuff is not gonna happen. So essentially, again, if this is the case, when we open up the next episode, yes, he can go find Ushio, but it's gonna be like Ushio from the second episode. Like that Ushio, the one that literally doesn't know why she's there. She thinks that she's the original. And yes, she doesn't have any sort of control or understanding of her power. We'll see. We'll see. I mean, I don't know. She has the ability to give people memories, so maybe she can take the memories from Shinpei. Obviously, it's playing it out as if this is a big deal. So I'm assuming, unless, again, they're doing a massive fake out, Ushio's not going to be there, or she has to be there. Because she technically was there after several resets. But I think, again, the idea is that she never died before him. So, again, we'll see. It'll be a huge bummer if she's gone. I don't think that she'll be gone because, I mean, we still have like 7 episodes, and Ushio being completely out of the picture at this point would really suck, but we'll see. We'll see. But again, I never really understood why they made that connection. I think it had something to do with the fact that she gave him the eye, and so they're connected in a way, but because technically, again, if they're playing it out that was not an assumption, but the reality, Ushio is a part of Hine, she broke off from Hine, and at some point gave the eye to Shinpei, and so they're technically linked in a way. Technically, Hine, Ushio, and Shinpei are all linked, which makes you wonder why Hine had to mark him to begin with. I don't know. Again, that's the one part that I think is just not really 100% solidified, explained in my mind. And as you guys know, by these impressions videos, I overanalyze everything, so to miss something would be really shocking. Then again, it could just be a translation issue. I'm technically using fan subs, but I think they're using the manga subs, so who knows. Anyways, yes, this entire episode was to explain Katakiri / Shide-hiko, Hishigata / Shide. Yes. Thankfully, I meant to open up the video with this. I was right. I was actually right. I was right in that Shide is Katakiri. And technically, yes, Shide is Shide-hiko, or Shide is Hishigata, so they're all one and the same person. So the thing that kind of is going to be the big question mark for me at this point is, why was there 2 Katakiris? And I guess I have my own thought processes there, but yes, we kind of start things off with a little bit of casual conversation between Shinpei and Katakiri, talking about, yeah, it's hot. Yeah, it was hot over in Tokyo, too. You went to Tokyo, didn't you? Oh, yeah, I did. I did go to Tokyo because I had to go to that whole Gamescom, talk about video games, and that eventually gets into essentially the mindset of Katakiri. It kind of dabs a little bit in the idea that he is essentially considering or thinking about death in some way. He talks about how he likes Final Fantasy VII Remake because it's got this post-apocalyptic world, and it makes me think about the concept of how you're going to end your life. And that opens the door for Shinpei to bring up, oh yeah, you like video games like I like novels, including Swamp Man. Swamp Man's pretty interesting, isn't it? That's like the most direct thing he could possibly do. Swamp Man. You know that Swamp Man thing? I kind of feel like that's a story about my life. So what do you think about copies? You think if something's like a direct copy that it should be the same person? Yeah, I think it's the same person. Again, it's such a casual, goofy conversation that just is so blatant. And that's kind of opens the door for Shinpei to explain how he thinks all this began. Well, he doesn't really know how exactly it began. He just kind of assumes that, maybe it was some sort of alien creature flying through space, and it's, consuming things, copying things around it, and eventually it's running out of things. I mean, it's in space. There's a lot of gap there. And it comes to Earth, and it has tons of stuff to feed in. Goes in the ocean, starts feeding on the fish, eventually becomes a whale, And that whale goes onto the beach of this island. And that connects with Katakiri's story and the whole story behind Hine, which is that this whale came up onto the beach when everybody was starving, everybody was dying from famine, and this whale come up. And they thought it was a gift from the gods, and they were so happy about it. And they were all getting excited about it. And then Hine walks forward, this child, and the whale takes a picture of her, copies her, and then immediately consumes her. Like, literally just looking like big mouth consuming thing. It was really kind of screwed up. And after that, they assumed that this was a god and that they had to worship it to fend off a curse. And the weird thing about all this stuff that Shinpei points out that Hishikata had a picture of, you were there, Katakiri. That's the big reveal. Katakiri was there. He's been here for a long time. Now, what they eventually explain this as is that eventually, he's human. Eventually, he claimed Hine as being his wife, that he was the husband of a god, and eventually they had a child together, which is a screwed up thing in itself. But again, this is a shadow thing. It breaks the rules and logics of human society. But specifically, the Shide that we know is a child of Hine and Katakiri. Katakiri himself died. Hine specifically took the memories from the original Katakiri and implanted them into the child. So this kind of explains why he always calls her mother. Heine's technically his mother. But it opens a door to the concept of a hybrid, a human shadow hybrid. Somebody that, yeah, you can't sense his shadow because he's technically not a shadow. He's technically human, but at the same time has the ability to manipulate and control shadows. This is where it's revealed from Hishikata's perspective that, yeah, after this point, we had an older brother that was born, and essentially the family split. Katakiri's family was within the Hishikata family. It's just they had that separation at that point. Hishikatas became the people that did medicine, and then the Katakiris were the ones that served God and ran the temple and everything. And this is the part where Katakiri in front of Shinpei right now really starts to kind of, I guess, knowing that everybody's figured it out, starts getting very twisted. Like, yeah, everybody was going to die, but I saved everybody. I just turned everybody into shadows. That way they don't need to eat, they don't need to do harvest, they don't have to do really anything. And yes, in response to them killing Shinpei's parents, yeah, they were going to reveal everything, so I had to get rid of them. They made a nice meal for Hine. And yes, the derpy faces. we get the return of the derpy face in the show. They did like for like an entire episode one time, and now suddenly out of nowhere, when things are getting serious, they have to go right back to the derpy faces. I absolutely hate the derpy faces. I can't take it serious. The moment that Katakiri had that huge grin on his face, and then Shinpei's doing the weird teeth on the lip thing, I was like, oh gosh, it looks like they're all about to pass gas or something like that. Please stop that anime. Stop it. Yeah, Ushio gets really angry, is sick of all this, hearing about how they're killing everybody off, including Shinpei's parents. She basically can't hold herself back, and I can't sense the shadow. Let's take him out now. Shinpei won't shoot him because Shinpei's a good main character and does not want to harm humans, and so she does it for him. And that's really where it seems like, yes, justice done, but I think at the same time, this is like a huge, massive mistake by Ushio. Technically, this entire episode is Shinpei screwing up again. We had a while where Shinpei was doing really good, gathering the group, trying to take down Hine, having a successful battle that was really well planned out to take down Hine. They searched for all the shadows. He's doing really good right now. But the whole situation with Katakiri was a huge, massive mistake. And it sucks because in the previous episode, having him come up to Katakiri, it's like I figured he had a plan. He did have a plan. It was a really stupid plan. He once again decided that I'm going to put my own self-interest ahead of everybody else, and I'm going to screw up again. He came there alone. He wanted to come there alone. They said, no, we have to come with you. Let's just take him down. No, I want to talk to him first. I want to find out why he would do that. Shinpei, idiot. I hate main characters sometimes, and the more I'm thinking about it, the more I'm getting angry again. Shinpei makes a massive mistake by going there to talk to Katakiri, not going there to attack. They have the advantage. They know something that Katakiri doesn't know. They know who Katakiri is, and they're coming there to take him down. They already knew. It kind of shows these little brief clips of how everything added up, that everybody figured it out that it's him. Only one person would need to cloak themselves. Katakiri, somebody that everybody knows. Why would a shadow need to cloak themselves? Katakiri. Ushio comes with him. It's like, okay, we'll set up a plan. I'm going to fire twice. Once at his shadow and once at him. That's how you'll all know that this is going to happen. And guess what happens? Ushio makes a massive mistake. She attacks, which then nobody knows. Nobody knows that it happens. Oh yeah, it's okay. I took him out. Nobody knew what happened until it was too late. Ushio's gone. Shinpei's gone. Massive, this entire episode is a massive mistake. But at the same time, there was one aspect that they were not all aware of, that there's 2 Katakitties. Now the big question mark is, how is that going to play in the story? Obviously, the Katakitty that they killed was not a shadow. He was human. Now, was he part shadow too? I don't think, I'm kind of wondering at this point if he is. But obviously, the second one that came out is the one that they fought before because it's the one that had the burn mark. And it's interesting that the first one that gets taken out mentions that. Why are you hesitating? Are you curious? Are you wondering why I don't have a burn on my hand? He's literally telling Shinpei, like, I'm literally telling you I'm not the one you're after. And they still do it. Like, so many mistakes in this episode, and I keep thinking about more of it. But who is the second Shide? Did Heine have more than one child? There's nothing to say they couldn't have done that multiple times. They could have had 2 children and merged that mind twice. Or it could just be that this Katakitty is literally just a human bloodline that's passed down generation to generation. They wouldn't look exactly the same. That's the only problem, which does lend itself again to the idea of him being another child of Heine, multiple Katakitties, because they said that he took on the appearance of the father. Anyway, wild episode. And again, a lot of frustrations and all the terrible mistakes. Again, it typically is what you get. You have a character that's so far ahead of the game. The one that's, when they get to that point where they're so confident because they're so ahead of their enemy, that they start making stupid mistakes. And again, technically Shinpei made like 3 massive mistakes and Ushio made 1 really critical mistake. And that all led to all the success they just made falling apart. Now granted, not all of it's fallen apart because he's still back at this point where they took down Buchi, which is right before they all came together and he went off to see Katakitty. But the big issue here is, where's Ushio? Is Ushio going to be the big weapon, the main core thing they have that he no longer has? Is he going to have to find her? Is she no longer there? Is he going to have to rely on maybe Shadow Mio and Tokiko's shadows in order to take down Katakitty? And again, technically, will Katakitty and Heine know now that they came there, they know that he's that person, and they're now going to be more defensive. He's not going to be able to just walk up to Katakitty again and take down Shide. It's a massive blow. He still can recover, but it's a massive blow. But we'll see. This is like the this is like the one out of all of the episodes of this series so far. This is the one that I'm so tempted to look at the manga. I just so want to know at least what the answer is going to be on what is Ushio now. Is she gone, or is she reset now back to her original mindset? That's going to be the big question mark, because again, they're obviously playing it out that this is a huge blow to them. And it doesn't make any sense that if he goes back, 20 minutes back to when they took down Buchi, why would Ushio be somewhere else without her memories? Again, I think they're playing on the idea that she's now gone. But of course, again, I doubt they're not going to have Ushio be a part of the final battle. They're going to figure out some way of reproducing her. But anyways, that's my thoughts on episode 18 of Summertime Rendering. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, if you did, make sure to hit that like button down below. Comment, let me know what's thought of the episode. Subscribe to the channel if you've not already. I do news, reviews, first impressions. If it's anime, it's pretty much here. Additionally, want to support the channel more, we have a Patreon link, a tips link, and a super thanks button down below. I greatly appreciate everybody that supports us, and y'all take care.